We thank you for taking the time to watch the Speakers of Organization. We're causing life-changing experiences. Please visit our web at www.thespeakersoforganization.com. My name is Tommy Charles, and I'm the president of the speakersoforganization.com. This is our first segment, and one thing I want to encourage you first is to please visit us at our website, and you'll have more insight on what we're about, what we're doing, and what our goals are, and how we are here to help you. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little about my life, and you'll have a little insight on why this organization was started. I ask you to please turn in and check us out, because we're going to be talking about a lot of subjects and a lot of things that you do not want to miss on. There's a lot of things that's in my heart, a lot of things that's going to be in your heart, and we are probably going to be crying together, laughing together throughout our term on here. So my name is Tommy Charles, and what I'd like to share with you is life hasn't been good to me at all. Basically, my life has been hell, but I made it through. And this segment is pretty much to encourage everybody out there, everybody that hears the sound of my voice, that you can make it through. No matter what happens to you, you can make it through. And this is something that I want to stress to you, and stress to you strongly. First of all, I'd like to start off with my life. I thank God. I've had a lot of good times. Now, don't get me wrong. And God has blessed me with a great sense of humor, and I appreciate that, because that's one thing that has caused me to make it through this life, and to come through all of my pain, my shame, and my hurts in this life. First of all, I'd like to start off by letting you know that we are an organization that believes strongly in God, and we believe strongly in the Lord Jesus Christ. And He has been my strength to make it through the times. Everything that I tell you is not for you to feel sorry for me or to have pity on me, but it's to let you know that you can make it through, no matter what you're going through. Gang members, if you're in the prison system, we don't care. Low income neighborhoods, middle income neighborhoods, upper class and rich neighborhoods and communities, we don't care. We're speaking to all of y'all, and that's what our sign represents. First of all, let me start by letting you know how my existence first came about when I was born. First of all, I was born 7 months premature. My mother told me I was no bigger than a pound of butter. She told me I stayed in the hospital 6 months after my birth before I was able to come home. Then, as I became older, we lived in a house. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. That's where I was born and raised, in Detroit, Michigan. We lived on the street called North Line. Before that, we lived on the street, it was called Spokane, which is on the west side of Detroit. At the age of 3, I started noticing a lot of weird things happening in that household. We lived in that house from I was 3 years old until I was 6. When we moved from there, I was in the 1st grade. That house was possessed with spirits. At that time, I didn't know what was going on, and neither was it explained to me what was going on and the things that I was seeing. I have an older brother who used to wake me up at nighttime and just say, "Tommy, you see that?" And I'll wake up, I'll open my eyes, and I find myself seeing the same thing that he was seeing. I've seen my mother run out the bathroom, and I've seen my father run out the bathroom screaming We were going to the bathroom. It was at the time that was a 2-family flat home, which means a family lived downstairs and we lived upstairs. And I used to think at that time it was my friend down the street that was coming up and just making fun and trying to scare us, because I was young, with 3, 4, 5 years old, and I didn't know what was going on. I used to see things at the end of my bed. I seen spirits walking across and through our hallway. I remember one time in that household, I had to be about 4, and I was in the hallway playing with my toys. My mother was standing nearby, and my brother was playing with me with my toys, my older brother. But at that time, it was just us two born. And all of a sudden, it was a light on the top, and it just started blinking on and off. And it was a brown swinging door that would go into our dining room from that hallway into the dining room. The door jammed, the light started blinking on and off, and I remember my mother pushing that brown door, and it wouldn't open. It was a door that would swing easily. It didn't lock, and it would just swing each way easily. But I remember her pushing it, and the door wouldn't budge. I remember just being confused, not understanding what was going on. And I don't know if it lasted a minute, a few seconds, or what, but it stopped, and everything was back to normal. I seen the fear in my mother's face, but she never explained it, and I never knew what was happening. That house traumatized me and my brother so bad, even up until our teenage years, to where when I went to sleep, I would have my head facing the wall, and no matter how bad my neck was hurting, I would not turn my head from that wall. My brother was traumatized because every time he went to sleep, he slept with the covers over his head. Every time, also in the middle of the night, if he had to use the restroom, he would wake me up, Tommy. And I'll, no matter how sleepy I was, he'd say, could you go to the bathroom with me? And I'd get up, I'd go to the bathroom with him. If he had to poop or pee, it didn't matter. I stayed in the bathroom with him. Same thing with me, because we were traumatized from that house. We seen spirits walking through our room, in the hallway, and in our bathrooms. That's the only places I remember seeing it. I screamed so many times. I remember just, Mom! And just screaming so many times and so many nights that my mother, she wouldn't come in the room. She'd just holler from her bedroom, boy, go back to sleep. And I think to this day it was because she was scared to get up and come and see. So that was number one. Premature, early years living in a house that was possessed with spirits. Then at the age of, I'm going to say 7, 8 years old, I started realizing that I was becoming physically and mentally abused. I didn't understand at the time what was going on, and a lot of things seemed normal to me. Also, I grew up fatherless. My father wasn't in our home. We had no father figure in our home. I'm a person, I look like my father, I walk like him. Actually, I call him my biological, because he never was there for me. I didn't know his favorite food, his favorite color. I knew nothing about him. He did a disappearing act on us. When my mother looked at me, she saw him. I started noticing that I started becoming mentally and physically abused. I'm talking about to the point of being kicked down the stairs, my head banged against the wall, being on the floor, and just being choked until the air just left my body. And that happened so many times to where I just didn't care if I died. I would just, her hands would be around my neck, and I would just let me die, because I was just tired. I would just get kicked down the stairs, swung on while I'm falling. All my life I've been told that I would never be anything. I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I hate you. And I wish I'd have closed my legs when you was born, among other things. There's no curse word anybody could say to me that wasn't told to me or said to me coming up as a child. This also installed low self-esteem on me. Now, Here it is. My reason for explaining this and telling you this part of my life is not for you to feel sorry for me. It's not for you to want to get back at the person that did me wrong, but it's to let all of you know out there who's ever gone through anything, abuse, mentally, physically, that you can make it through. You don't have to grow up into the life of crime to get back because of the anger that's in you. And also it's for anybody, if you're, whoever you are, if you're abusing your children, if you're abusing your wife, if you're abusing your husband, you need to cut it out. If you say you love somebody, then that's what you need to do. Show love. You need to go to the definition, to the dictionary, and look up the definition of love. And number one, God is all about love. So if a person say they love you, how can they continue to hurt you? Either by words or physically. I grew up with a lot of anger. I grew up with very low self-esteem. When I became a teenager and older, if a person came up to me and they told me about a job, the first thing I would ask them was, do I have to take a test? And if they told me I had to take a test, that I was defeated in my brain then. I knew I would still play it off as if I was going to still fill out that application, but deep down inside I wasn't going because because of the test. Basically just because of the test. Even though I was still getting decent grades in school. I always had a sense of humor. So I've been in the streets, homeless. One day I got kicked out of the house, and we lived on a corner house on a street called Northline on the west side of Detroit. I got kicked out of the house one time, and I had to run to the garage with nothing but my underpants on. We lived on the corner house, and across the street was a candy store. So a lot of people and other kids, children my age, would go to that store. But I thank God when I went outside, when my mother beat me, she was beating me, kicking me, and just all the way to the front door. And when I got out, I was on the way. When she first started beating me, I tried to go in my closet and grab a pair of pants. She grabbed me and told me I wasn't, and she kicked me and beat me all the way, threw me down the stairs. It was a landing. And she picked me up and threw me down the second flight of stairs, steady swinging me, hit me in my head, my face, and my body, all the way to the front door. And by the time I stepped out, I had to make a quick dash to the garage. We lived in a house that had a stone barbecue pit in the backyard, and behind that, it could have been about 15, 20, 25 rat holes. I went in the garage. Thank God nobody was outside to see me, because children could be very cruel. Very cruel. So I thank God that nobody was out there. I remember when I was running out the door, I heard my mother scream to my brothers, and y'all better not take them no clothes. You see, so I went through a lot. I've been walking. If anybody is familiar with Detroit, I lived in the neighborhood over there near Wyoming and Schoolcraft. I used to walk from that neighborhood all the way downtown to Jefferson Avenue down to the Renaissance Center. Or from that neighborhood to Highland Park to my grandmother's house. I grew up, I became quiet, not expressing myself. I was ashamed of everything I was going through. I remember being in the 2nd and 3rd grade, just excited about the teacher teaching us things. So I would come home, and instead of going outside, I would be in my room, just trying to learn my math, my reading. And I was just excited about learning. I was like a sponge. And I would go downstairs if my mother was in the kitchen or whatever, and I would, show Mom, look what I got. Just a little child. And she would look, and everything that I had wrong on there, that's wrong. And she'd get back upstairs and do it again. You see what I'm saying? So I had to go through all of these type of things. And then on top of all of this that was going on in my household, I had to deal with children that I went to school with, because I didn't have the name brand clothes. I didn't have the name brand shoes. we had no father in the house. My mother was doing the best she could as far as trying to raise us. So my pants would be high. You could see my socks. So I would go to school and other boys would walk up to me, cracking jokes on my clothes, coming up to me wanting to fight because I was a goofy looking child. I didn't realize at that time how goofy I was, but when I became grown and I started looking at my childhood pictures, I saw that I was a very goofy looking child. I was also real slim. I was a skinny child. So I had to deal with other children at school. I would get in so many fights and confrontation with other children because they would just walk up to me and want to fight me or just do something, pick on me or whatever, because of not having my name brand clothes. There's some that I became friends with because I had to fight first. So I had no peace at home. I had no peace at school. I had no peace at all. This messed me up. This is terrible. And I'm telling you this because all of you parents out there that's being abusive to your children, that's not protecting your children, because it's a parent's or a guardian's job to protect your children. It's your job. It's your job to educate your children and let children know that all families and households can't afford the name brand things. And that you should get to know a child or an individual for their personality and for their mentality, and not because of how they look. Some families come from working class, working parents. Some don't. We grew up on welfare. My father wasn't in the house. I had me and 3 other brothers and then a small sister that came on the way. My mother did the best she could. It's no excuse for the abuse, but why she still didn't like me, and even in my adulthood she still never really cared for me. So I can't really accept that my mother loved me, because action speaks louder than words. The only thing that I've learned to go by on a person is their actions. I had every excuse in the world to commit crimes. I wasn't a bad child. I wasn't getting in trouble. I was going to school every day. I graduated. I was so confused that I had to repeat the 3rd grade, but that was because of the abuse that I was going through in my own household. I was confused. I couldn't think right. So if you say you love somebody, why would you want to make their life harder? And this is my point. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of men and a lot of women that's in the prison system right now because of the abuse that they have had to take coming up as a child. No love. So they turn to different people on the streets. They turn to their peers. Some and many that wasn't no good for them. And they had not the maturity to judge, had a power to judge what was right and what was wrong. The times I was kicked out and homeless, asking people on the street for money. Excuse me, sir, because in Detroit we had a lot of Coney Islands. The hot dogs at that time was 50 cents. I would be on the streets asking men and women that I came across, excuse me, sir, excuse me, ma'am, do you have 50 cents? Do you have a quarter? Do you have a dime? Do you have a nickel? So I can go get a hot dog because I was on the streets hungry. I could have went in and stole some things out of a store, went into a store, grabbed some chips, donuts, or whatever, and ran out the store. I could have did anything, stole things in the streets, but that's not my heart, and it never have been my heart. And I never have committed a crime, so I would just be on the streets hungry. One lady, I remember one time, she took me home. I was ashamed. I was trying to find a spot to sleep. I was downtown in the Renaissance Center in Detroit, and every time I would go somewhere and try to find a corner to go to sleep, because at that time it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, the security there would just come up to me and tell me that I couldn't sleep there. They never asked me where was my mother, where was my father, who am I down here with. They just would tell me, you can't sleep here. So I would go to another area in the building and try to find a place to go to sleep. This lady, I guess she saw me and she walked up to me, asked me my name and what was I doing. I lied to her at first because I was ashamed of my situation, and then I finally broke down and told her the truth, and she took me home. I was so scared and terrified to go home. My mother, she came. My mother knocked on the door, rang the doorbell. My mother came to the door. She told my mother about me being downtown, wandering, trying to find a place to sleep. My mother let me go back in the house. I went upstairs to my room and went to bed. Also, my mother let my brothers play organized football, Little League football, high school football, but she would never let me play. I was always good in sports. I remember in middle school, I went to a middle school in Detroit called Noble on Fullerton on the west side of Detroit. And every year, the teachers would play the students. And I had different friends coming up to me, "Hey Charles, hey Tommy, I know you're going to play." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna play." I'd go home and ask my mother, and my mother would tell me no. Not because I was on punishment or anything, nothing like that. She just told me no. So I would have to go back to school, and you know, I would lie and let them know why I couldn't play. I remember my brother playing Little League football, and the other little boys on my street, my friends, was playing football. They were going to football all day year. I could never go because my mother told me I couldn't play. That following year, everybody played again, including my brother. It's not because I was on punishment, not because I was getting in any trouble. It was just, no, I was 12 years old at the time. It was a man named Mr. Lewis lived down the street, and he came up to me one day and asked me, you know, why I wasn't playing football. And I told him that my mother won't let me play. And he immediately went down the street to our house, and oh, you talking about somebody scared and terrified. I was terrified. He knocked on the door. My mother came to the door. He stayed there about 15, 20 minutes. I'm assuming talking to my mother. I'm down the street looking at this, and I'm about to use the bathroom on myself because I'm so scared, because I'm like, man, what's going to happen when I get home? You know, so Mr. Lewis talked to my mother, came back down the street, tapped me on my shoulder and said, "You can play." I was like, wow. I was excited, but I was real scared inside too. I'm talking about very scared, because I didn't know what my mother was going to say. I didn't know if she was going to start beating me, swinging on me, or what. So I went home, and my mother, she didn't say anything. She let me play. And then when I didn't end up starting when I played, but I did make the team, because back that time, I know in the suburbs, any child that goes out for a team, all of them, they make the team. But in the city, at that time, I know if a person wasn't good enough, they got cut from the team. I didn't get cut. I made the team. First 2 games, I didn't start, but I made some solo tackles in the games where a couple of them was if I didn't make the tackle, the little fella would have made, the other guy would have made a touchdown. So after that, I started. So I'm just really trying to explain and tell you a little of things that happened to me, because I would love for somebody to hear this and realize that I'm treating my child wrong. I'm abusing my child for whatever reason, just because of that parent or whatever. Why you're treating your child wrong. I'm treating my wife wrong. I'm treating my husband wrong. And I would love for you to come to the maturity to say, you know what? That's wrong. It's a sin. It's something God does not like. And I need to work on changing. I need to practice on changing. I need to cry out to God and ask God, Lord, show me love. Show me how to love. Show me how to treat the one that I say that I love right. And that's the goal, what I want to get to you and get over to you today. I've had every excuse, like I told you before, to do all types of things because of the anger, my low self-esteem I had, holding a lot of things inside. Also, what I'm going to talk to you about on another segment is I also was suicidal. I was a very suicidal person, which came to me at the age of 16, and it consumed me so much to where I couldn't even sleep because I was trying to wonder, how in the world am I going to kill myself? I came to the conclusion that I was going to kill myself by pills. I figured that would be an easy way. I ended up going to church one Wednesday. It was a revival. I ended up going to church, and that minister that was preaching that revival called me out of the congregation. The church was full. He called me out. He told me about my suicidal spirit that I had on me. I didn't tell anybody about it, not even my brothers. And he laid hands on me, and the desire went away. But the Bible says when a spirit is cast out of a person, comes back and finds that house garnished, that it goes back and gets seven more spirits more wicked than itself. And that man is worse off than what he was before, or that woman is worse off than what they were before. So I also attempted suicide at the age of 22 and at the age of 27. I'm going to talk to you about that because at another time, another segment that we do, and I'm going to go into details. We're going to go into details also to let you know what happened to people that commit suicide. So I was suicidal, I was depressed, no confidence, very low self-esteem. I was always told over the years that I was stupid, I'll never amount to anything, I'm dumb, and I believed that, and it broke my confidence. So I ask you, please, whoever you are, all of you out there who's mistreating the ones that you say you love, change it. Life is hell, and we go through a lot of things just by living. The Bible says a man is born and his days are full of sorrow. But does it have to be by the hands of the one that says that I love you? Does it have to be? I used to become, when I became older, I was angry because I used to always tell myself, I didn't ask to be here. I didn't ask for you two to have sex and produce me. So now that I'm here, you want to destroy me? Make my life hell? I didn't ask to be born on this earth. Everybody, when you become an age, you know how children are born. You know that it takes sex and sexual intercourse to produce another human being. We know God's plan. He established that. Everywhere you look, rush hour, different cities, different countries, wherever you are, every individual that you lay your eyes on is because two people had sex and produced that human being. So there's no secret. So before babies are born, before you get together with somebody and lay down, you need to realize, are you capable of loving? Are you capable of nourishing? Are you capable of being matured? Are you capable of instilling some maturity into that child that's born? There's a lot of things that need to be examined and before you lay down. We know sex is pleasurable. We know the sensation of sex. That's why there's around 6 billion people on this earth now. Sex on television, radio, sex. God has ordained that. But he really ordained that by married couples only. But we're going to get into that at another time also. I'm a strong believer in the Lord. I'm a strong believer in God. I'm a strong believer in the Lord Jesus Christ. And he is the one that has caused me to make it through all of my tests, all of my trials, all of my pain, and all of my shame. And this is what I want to share with you. And this is what I would like to let you know. That you can make it through. You don't have to fall into the prison system. You don't have to be out here committing crimes because of your anger. You don't have to do that. I'm going to tell you about my life. My life hasn't been easy even afterwards. I had also backlashes and things that happened to me because of my anger, of the things that I had to go through, and I'm also going to share that with you. Everything we speak here on the Speakers Organization is facts. We speak nothing fiction. Nothing at all. Nothing. And I want to steal this and let you know this. So I appreciate you. I love you. Because of my heart, one thing God has given me was a caring heart. There's a lot of people out there, you have gifts. God has instilled gifts on you. Drawing, singing, the gift of speech, the gift of gab if you want to say it. Contracting, electrical, business owners. It's a lot of people, a lot of you out there are smart. A lot of you have a lot of things going on. And there's a lot of people in the prison system that's very gifted. But now they're in the prison system. You can't use your gift like you really want to, as if you can use it out here. You can use it better being out of prison than in prison. A lot of you, gang members, gifted. A lot of homeless people. They're just throwing your life away because of the things and the pressure that life brings. If I could make it through, you can make it through. Out of everything, God has instilled into me a heart of care and a heart of love. And that's what this organization is all about. It's all about telling you the truth. We're going to be talking about world events. We're going to be talking about God, the Bible. We're going to speak the truth on all things. It's not my job to be anybody's friend. It's not my job to be anyone's friend. My job is to love, to care, to respect, and to show kindness. And if I gain friendship from that, from being real, for being true, then I thank God and I welcome it. And that's what we do here at the Speakers Organization. We speak nothing but truth, facts, and realness. And we do speak our opinion. So I thank you for tuning in. We hope you stay here. We hope you continue. And our goal is to have a following, because we're going to lead you into the truth and to facts. There's nothing fake and phony about me, and there's nothing fake and phony about the speakersorganization.com. So I plead to all of you, whoever you are, that's out there hurting other people, I tell you to stop it. Change your ways. Pray to God. Ask Him to change. If you don't have it in you to change for yourself, ask God to change. A lot of times it's spirits. People have spirits on them. People are hurt because of what you went through in life and the things that happened to you, you afflicted on others. But you're better than that. Know that you're better than that. Know that you're stronger than that. It's a learning process and it's practice. Love everybody. Care. Show kindness. Show respect. And always know whatever you do and whatever you say, God sees and God hears. God judges us all on everything that we do. He judges us on our imaginations, and He judges us on our thoughts. And one thing that you have to know is that we have to be required for everything that we do before God. We have to answer for everything. God is a great, merciful God. He's a loving God. That's why we're alive today. Each day we wake up is because God allowed it. Our days are numbered. We have a day when our time is cut off. We don't know if it's going to be today, tomorrow, next week, next year, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, or 50 years from now. We don't know. So the short period of time that we're on this earth, what are we going to do with it? Are we going to use in our whole existence as hell? It's because we've been treating and mistreating others, abusing others? Or is it going to be maturity, strength, and love? When your time comes and you're laying in your casket, when God say today your soul is required of thee, and your death day has come, and now you're laying in a casket, when the people that come to your funeral view your body, what are they going to be thinking about you? Are they going to be glad that you're gone? Are they going to think about the good times? Or are they going to say, wow, he lived his life hell? Now you're laying in the casket quiet on this earth, because now you're in the spiritual world, and there's a price to pay for everything that we do. Everything that we do on this earth, there's a price to pay. We're going to go more into that in other segments. We're going to be touching on a lot of things. I'm excited about this organization because I know everything we do is true, real, and love. And I'm thank God for putting this into my heart that I can reach you on a broader basis. And that's what I do. That's what I do. They call me the philosopher. Everybody called me the philosopher. But God has created us to be what we are. Love. Show your parents love. Show your children love. If you had children out there, be responsible for them. Spend time with them. Tell them you love them. Hug them. It'll help make them better children. And for you all that were born in the suburbs, and you were born rich, or you were born in a working class family with your mother and father loving each other, showing you love, don't feel like you missed out. Because I remember even when I was coming up, children that lived in the middle class, out in the suburbs, out in the counties, felt like they was missing out, so they were coming to the inner cities to prove their toughness. To prove, because they thought what was going on in the inner city was more exciting, and they wanted to prove themselves. But I say to you, if you're blessed to have two working parents, someone that loves you, do what you do to make your life best. Because you're not missing out on anything in the streets. This thing happens in every generation. Living in the streets is either death or prison. Nothing good about that. We're going to talk about that in depthness too. All of you all in the prison system, we're going to talk about this. There's things that if I was to come into the prison system, they won't allow me to say to you. But I'm not coming to you out of petting you on your back and putting on a fake and phony smile and face expression of demeanor. I'm going to come to you real, and I come to you true. I've dealt with all types of people. I've been, you name it, all types, all races, all types of walks of life I've dealt with. I'm real with everybody. I've learned to be myself. That's the only thing I've always known how to do anyway, is be me. And that's what I encourage you to do. Encourage you to be yourself. You don't have to fake and fit into anybody's clique. I charge you and I challenge you to change. For all of you all out there that hear me and you're abusing somebody, I challenge you to change. See if you're capable. See if you're mature. See if you're wise enough to change. Make the ones around you better. Love. And know that God, He does love you. God loves you. That's why you're awake today. That's why your heart is still beating and blood is still circulating through your veins. That's why breath is still coming in and out of your body. And that's why your heart is steady beating the many beats that it beats per minute. It's because God said, today I'll let you live. Majority of the people, when we wake up in the morning, take for granted that by 12 o'clock midnight, they're still going to be living. When the year starts, majority of the people take for granted by the end of the year, the last day of this year, they're still going to be living. Life is short. Even if you live to be 70, 80, 90 years old, life is short. Time goes by fast. And it's nothing in length as far as eternity. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. I thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed what I've been talking about. I hope that you take in consideration and really want to change and show your love. I'm gonna be sharing more of my life with you. I don't want to go too long right now, but I'm gonna share most of them. I'm gonna share other things with you in my life and let you know that you can make it through. You can change. No matter what's been coming against you, you can change. God has blessed me and God has made me strong. God has instilled wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in me. And I thank God for that. I give God all the glory. And that's who I believe in. The Most High God. God is of no nationality. He's of no country of this earth. But I believe also in His Son, Jesus Christ, who died and was risen for all people of the earth. All nations, all people, men, women, boys, and girls. God died for us all and He was risen for us all. And that's the only way I want to live, is being right, true, and pure. Not fake and phony with anybody. And that's how I choose to live my life. And I thank God for giving me that type of heart. So I challenge you to have that type of heart also. So I thank you. And please tune in to our next segment of the Speakers of Organization. And please don't forget to visit our website at www.thespeakersoforganization.com. Thank you.